Okay, so we're recording. We're on Facebook Live. Welcome, everybody. We've had fun. Sandy just shared a fun story with us, and I said I was going to share a fun story about Dany, and I know Dany knows what the story is, don't you? You must.
I got a
But
good idea.
you got an idea. So Dany and I have known each other for 30 years, I think, right? Right in there. And
Yep.
we've had lots of time together and experienced a lot of the ups and downs and the beauty of being part of this incredible wellness company. And Dany is from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Let me see where I lost my, shoot, I lost my, it's got to be here somewhere. Shoot. Oh, there it is. Okay. He's got two kids, Dany Martin Jr. and Devin. And he's been nominated for a couple of Elton Awards. He's played a huge part in the opening and the building of Australia and New Zealand. There was a time where he was really one of the only people from the US going there regularly and helping them put their program together, modeled after what we had been doing here in the US, and really made a difference for them in doing that. One of his times that he said he loves is when he got to be interviewed by Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. One of my favorite times was with Dany is when we went to a boot camp. Dany, it was in Texas.
Louisiana.
It wasn't, or better yet, it was in Louisiana. Makes more sense. It was in a weird spot. I remember the hotel that we stayed in was really a little bit sketchy. The whole thing, the boot camp was great, but there was pieces of it that were absolutely hilarious. One in which we had to figure out how to introduce one another to each other, and you had to take the initials of your name and do some kind of movement around it. And somehow Dany got a hold of, I don't know if I created the name or you created it. It feels like you must have done it, Dany. But forever, every time I've seen Dany, and I don't remember what your name was. Do you remember your name that you picked at that time?
Dirty.
Dirty. So mine was a Nasty Nikki. Or no, yeah, right. It was or Nasty Cotton or something like that, right? For whatever. And so he would forever. I would see him at a conference, and we would do our thing and call each other our names and laugh about our times together. But one of the things, and one of my favorite moments, was when he did close the conference. And before he actually closed the conference, Elvis Presley came out, and you just knew that they had hired some amazing Elvis. I mean, he was like, I was blown. Well, I knew it wasn't Elvis, but I was certainly blown away by this particular Elvis and how perfect he was, like perfect. And then after, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes or longer, I don't know how long it took, both Chris and I looked at each other and said, oh my God, that's Dany. Dany has got to be the best Elvis impersonator ever. If you ever get an opportunity, Sandy, have you ever seen him do it? You're nodding your head if you were at that conference. I mean, the best ever. It was like it took a few moments to realize it was him. So lots of fun, but besides his fun factor and his genuine heart, he has a lot of wisdom. He's done this for a long time. He's got a great story of where he started in the business. So Dany, I'm just going to turn this over to you. And we've got about 25, 30 minutes. If you tell us a little bit about your background and where you started from, and then your wisdom of some of your one-liners, that would be amazing.
Perfect. I'd love to. Thanks for having me on tonight. And thanks for you guys tuning in.
Oh, and hang on 1 second, Dany. I'm going to mute everybody. So hang on 1 second. So you'll have to mute yourself. I mean, unmute yourself. Okay. So we're good to go.
All right. I'm live.
You're live.
Yeah. You know, Debbie and I we're in our 32nd, I guess 33rd year now with the Juice Plus Company. We've been around over 32 years. And so we've met so many great people over the years. And obviously Chris and Nikki were a couple that we connected with early on in the business. And they did come down to Louisiana. And, you know, if you don't know a lot about Louisiana, we're really very health conscious down here. We pretty much eat anything that doesn't eat us first, but we will deep fry it. We deep fry everything. And, you know, I'm trying to figure out how to deep fry bottled water, and that way we get people drinking more water down or eating more water down here. And I like to always joke and say where we live, if you see someone out running, they probably stole something. They're not doing it for exercise. So that's Louisiana. That's probably our reputation. But I have a quick Chris story I got to tell here, Nikki. And we were at Winterfest, and you're right about the boot camp. Debbie and I went to the pageants boot camp the first or second year they did it. Now they've been doing it almost 25 or 30 years. And we came home and tried to recreate that. So we found a kind of an old camp place, you know, because that look, the pageants is fancy now. 25 years ago, it wasn't that fancy. You know, everybody bunking together in these little cabins and all. But we did that, and the boot camp started, and so we've probably had boot camps now, except for the COVID period here. I don't know. We've had 23 or 24 years that we've done them as well in South Louisiana, but I'm going back to a story at a boot camp, and it was something called Winterfest. And we went to Reno, and this is going way back. And, you know, Chris and I always had a fun time together. We always laughed together, but we were a little competitive a little bit because we had one thing really in common, and we both were pretty good at it. At least I was at one point in my life, and that was water skiing, you know, and doing the barefoot skiing and all that kind of stuff. Well, I get to Winterfest, and I'm not really ever snow skied before, but I figured, what the heck, you know, if you can water ski and stay up on, you know, on your 2 feet or slalom ski, this snow skiing thing's going to be a breeze. Well, I found out it wasn't. And all I can remember is I took some lessons, and I got decent where I could at least stand up. And he and Sean Myers says, we want to take you up the mountain and go down. We want to help you. Now, y'all know those two characters, right? I'm thinking, no, y'all going to do something crazy and get me up at the top, and I'm going to be, you know, calling somebody to come pick me up or whatever. But they didn't. They treated me nice. They treated me kind, and they skied down the mountain with me, make sure everything was fine. I didn't fall. But what I was impressed with is I'm wobbling, and I've got, you know, what are you, the sticks that you, the ski poles, you know, I've got this, you know, the whole deal. And Chris is skiing next to me with no poles, a solo cup with beer in it, and he's not spilling any of it. Right. You know, and so, I mean, we have so many stories we could tell about each other, but yeah, I remember Nasty Nikki and Dirty Danny and all of that that we did at that particular thing. But I am from Louisiana. I was in the grocery industry. I worked for a major supermarket chain from the time I was 16 years old. I went through a divorce, and I had a 1-year-old son when I was in my 20s. And I realized then I was married to my job or my career. I was climbing that corporate ladder. And I said, you know, if I'm going to watch this kid grow up, I got to do something different. I can't do what I'm doing. And if any of you know, the song Cats in the Cradle, in fact, the conference you're talking about, I closed it with that song because this business has allowed me not to end up like that guy. It's a song about a guy never getting to spend time with his kids, and his kids grow up, and now they don't have time to spend with him. And they grew up just like he did. And so I wanted to break that. And this business has been able to afford us to do that. I brought Danny Jr. into Debbie and I's marriage when he was almost 5 years old. We just celebrated our 33rd year of marriage this past week, you know. And so it wasn't long after we were married that I was introduced to this particular company and this business. And all I wanted was just a little extra, you know, side gig, little extra money, part-time money, so I could take a job somewhere else. Because see, I have a high school education, and I only had worked for that one company since I was 16 years old in high school. So my resume was not real strong, and I wanted to get out of the grocery business. And I was being offered some things, but I was going to take a pretty good pay cut. And I never forget, here's a little secret here is I was a referral to someone, and someone called me and said, look, I don't know you, you don't know me, but I understand you're looking to do something. And I said, yeah. He said, can we sit down and talk? And we did. That guy was Kerry Daigle. His wife, Mickey, was with him. They had been in the business about 3.5 months at the time. So they didn't know what they were doing, right? But I remember asking, do you think you could show me how to make $1,000 or $1,500 a month? And he said, I think we can show you how to do that. I said, because if I could do that, I can do this for a while, take another job, start working my way up the corporate ladder again, not be working so many hours in the retail grocery business. And then I would be able to quit doing this, whatever this little side gig thing is, you know, with this company. That was my plan. But then I found out, that it wasn't the money I was looking for. It was a time freedom. It was a time to spend with that little boy. Now that little boy is 37 years old now, but I can honestly say I didn't miss any. He was a great athlete, still is. But I didn't miss any of those times, those games, those award ceremonies and things like that. And now Debbie and I, we have a son, a younger son, we had together. She had never been married, never had kids. And Devin, our son, youngest son, is going to be 21 Saturday. And we've been able to do the same thing with him. So this business to me has always been about, not reaching the top position or traveling around the world. In fact, I've never flown on a plane when I started this business many years ago. And then, Nikki mentioned Australia, New Zealand. We were fortunate enough to be involved with that. I've made somewhere around 40 or 50 trips over there over the years. And so this has been life-changing for us and our family. Our younger one now, he plays college golf. We've just been spending the last 2 or 3 months traveling all over the US, watching him play. Why? Because we can do that. And that's what we want to do. And that's what's important to us. So the business for us has been really life-changing. Now, over those 32 years, we kind of titled this training tonight, Dany's one-liners. And they're not all Dany's one-liners, but here's where this came about, is how many conferences, how many trainings, how many events do you think I've been to in over 32 years? A few. And I would always take different notes. And usually when we come out of something like that, or come out of a boot camp weekend or a conference, there's always that 1 or 2 things that just kind of sticks with us. We learn a lot and we take a lot of notes, but there's always that 1 or 2 things. And so over the years, I've started to compile a list. And I want to touch on these a little bit, and I'll try to run through them quickly. And some of them are self-explanatory. Some of them I'll stop and maybe, give a little training tip in there or whatever. But let me just jump in here right away. And I think that you guys will be able to relate to a lot of these. And Nikki, I'll be happy to send this list over to you guys after we finish.
Right.
I know you want to take notes, but the first thing someone's going to say is, I didn't get that. He was going too fast. So don't worry about that. If you want to copy this, you're welcome to have that. Let's start with the first one.
Danny, I think
Yes.
you're the only person that speaks fast that's from Louisiana. Like nobody else would say, could he say it again? I didn't catch that. You're amazing. You've got speed in you for one of those Louisianians.
Well, you told me I only had about 20 minutes or so to get through this.
There you go. Sorry.
All right, here we go. And again, a lot of these you probably have heard, and maybe have heard many times. And these are not all mine. Some are, some aren't. First one is, for things to change, you have to change. And for things to get better, you have to get better. That's something I had to learn in this business. The next one here, and I'm not going to number them, just say the next one. But if you want to know what the next 5 years of your life are going to look like, look at the last 5 and don't change anything. And I tell a lot of young people that in their 20s and 30s and 40s, and they, but it's really true. If you continue doing what you're doing, you're going to continue getting, what you've been getting. The next one is, remember the 4 SWs, or I used to call it SW to the fourth power. And it's this: some will, some won't, so what, some waiting. Don't get hung up on the maybes and the no's. Just talk to enough people to where you don't have time to mess around with somebody dragging you along with the yes or no. So remember, some will, some won't, so what, some waiting. Here's one that no one's ever going to figure this out and master this one. The ones you think will, won't, and the ones you think won't, will. You're never going to be able to do that. Now, you can pre-qualify some people maybe, but you can never prejudge, because you don't know what's in their heart. You don't know what's in their mind. You don't know what's going on in their life. The next one is, we may not be able to keep people out of McDonald's, but with Juice Plus, maybe we can keep McDonald's out of the people. Talk is cheap, but research isn't. Documentation beats conversation. And here's one that changed my life. In fact, the guy that introduced me, that was a good friend of Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad Poor Dad, and we were able to converse in the magazine article several years ago together when he was becoming well known for that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. It changed my life. And this is what he said to me. He said, Dany, what people think of you is none of your business. Think about that. What people think of me is none of my business. And that changed my life because I was trying to act and dress and speak, and you just have to be yourself. And people are they're gonna have an opinion of you whether you like that or not. Next is you get a report card on your business every month. It's a bank deposit. Are you passing or are you failing? That's your report card. You've heard this one, tell, show, try, do. We've all heard that, right? Tell someone how to do it, show them, let them try it, and then they're doing it. Next one here, and this is one of mine that I came up with, and I think it's funny because I like to joke if y'all haven't been able to tell that already. But listen to this. There's a lot of meat to this one. If you were arrested for being a Juice Plus partner, would they have enough evidence to convict you? You have to ask yourself that. In other words, are you living the Juice Plus life or are you walking the walk? The fortune's in the follow-up. Whatever you want, give it away. Whatever it is you want, give it away. I remember I was talking to someone sometime and they said, it was a guy that was single. He says, I'd like to have somebody that's honest and someone that's, loyal and this and that. And I said, well, what are you doing to attract that kind of person? In other words, you need to give away what it is that you want so that you receive that back. Next one is don't abuse the privileges this business affords you until you've earned them. I've seen a lot of people, in our business that they feel like, well, I'm working from home now, or I'm doing this, and they end up doing non-paying activities. They're busy, but they're not productive. So don't abuse any of the privileges or the freedom that this business will afford you until you've earned it. Next, in normal business, if you ask for help, you're viewed as incompetent. In our business, if you don't ask for help, you will be incompetent. Our president founder says it all the time, find a buddy. Don't do this alone. It doesn't matter how good you are or were in whatever you did before, you've never done this. So don't try to do it alone. What are you doing to attract the kind of people you wish to attract? Next one is, I love this one. This was a friend of mine wrote a book with this title. It says, if the how-tos were enough, we'd all be skinny, rich, and happy. It's not just the how-tos. It ties in with the next one I have here, which is knowledge is not power, but applied knowledge is power. That's where it really, the rubber meets the road. Do you treat your customers like Rolls-Royce customers? I mean, think about that. You spend $500,000 on a car. I'm sure when you go in there, they probably treat you pretty well. They probably treat you pretty well, and that type of thing anyway. But do you treat your customers that way? Because you should be treating your customers that way. And when it comes to leadership, meet your team's time, effort, and desire. Employ your support team. You initiate it. Doesn't matter where you are in the business, whether you're just starting or you've been around a while. Employ your support team. They're there to help you. And they have a little bit more experience than you in most cases. So initiate that with them. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so listen twice as much as you talk. We've probably heard that one other places besides our business, right? And here's one that I like is if your current situation really won't make a huge difference 10 years from now, then why let it stress you out today? I know people that someone cuts them off in traffic or pulls in front of them and doesn't use their blinker and it ruins their whole morning. It's not worth it, guys. It's not worth it. That situation's not going to be worth it down the road. Don't go out to do your business. Do your business while you are out. In other words, do your business while you're doing life. That's the best way to work this business. I've always said, it doesn't matter who you are or what you do. You can always incorporate this into whatever it is you're doing, because most of our people we work with are part-time. They're doing something else. but if they do it and learn to incorporate it in what they're already doing, they will be very successful in that. Remember that you are the messenger and not the message. And I love this when someone says it's expensive. Always respond with this question: compared to what? Ask them that. Compared to what? Well, I get a multivitamin at Walmart for $10 a month. Well, Juice Plus would probably be expensive compared to that. I agree with you. I'm in a much better position to talk to them at that point than trying to argue with them about how much it costs to buy 30 fruits and vegetables and all this other stuff, and why vitamin pills may not be the thing, that you really want to be doing. So always ask that question and engage in that conversation. When talking with a prospect, bring the conversation to a curious point and then deliver information to them or provide information to them. In other words, create curiosity with someone and then let them look at a video link, then let them get on a Zoom, then let them go to a live event or whatever it may be. And here's one that, some of these are just life lessons and have to do with things besides and outside our business as well. But this is a big one for me. Don't tell people what you think they want to hear. Don't tell people what you think they want to hear. Do you realize how much better off our world would be if we all just lived by that one concept? I mean, think about it. All these people said, well, yeah, I'm going to watch the video. Yeah, I'm going to come to the event. And they have no intentions of doing that. Just be honest. Just be honest. Don't tell me what you think you want me to hear. Here's one I just had that my youngest son brought up to me yesterday. We were in conversation about something. He said, yeah, Dad, you know what you always say, and this is what I always say: every day, do the hardest thing first. Do the hardest thing first every day. And I think we were talking about with a little training about there's only 4 groups of people we ever talk to in our business. And that's prospects, follow up at prospects, customers, and partners. That's only 4. And you have to do them in that order. Because if you don't do them in that order, you're doing the easy thing first, and you're never going to get around to the hard thing, which is talking to those new prospects or following up on them. So do the hardest thing first every day. Juice Plus, it's a concentrate, not an isolate. That's one of my Aussie doctors gave me that one, I remember. Don't let someone else steal your dreams. Real important. Don't let someone else steal your dream. And it's not important that someone doesn't buy your story. It's important that you don't buy theirs. Knowledge is useless unless shared. And be decisive, even if it means you'll sometimes be wrong. Be decisive. Engage in a conversation, not presentation. Wow, that's a big one, especially for you new people listen in. See, we teach something called conversation, invitation, presentation. Engage in a conversation with someone, invite them to look at something, and then whatever it is they're looking at, that video clip or whatever it is, let that be the presentation. Don't you be the presentation. Because if you do it that way, you will keep things simple and it will duplicate in your business. Don't be a king or a queen, become a king or a queen maker. Have more of a desire and need for the people that you're helping to be successful than your success. Watch the feet, not the lips. That's a pretty good one, right? I mean, watch what people actually do, not what they say. So watch the feet, not the lips. Treat everyone that you meet like you want to be treated. I get this question sometimes is, Dany, what's the average person make in the Juice Plus business? You know what my response to that one is? The average person probably is not in the Juice Plus business. We're all exceptional people. We're different. We're not just your average. Your average people are not going to start a business like this and be adamant and excited about a business like this. So yes, average people probably don't even work in our business. And if you think you're average right now, guess what? Over time, you will become above average. I promise you that. Confidence is the cornerstone of your success. And this is another one of my Aussie doctors. I love it here. He says, in God we trust, everyone else bring data. Oh, he loved the studies, right? Fake it until you make it. What does that mean? I think a lot of people think that means that you have to be fake. or you have to put on something that you're not. No, that's not what it means. What fake it till you make it means is simply this. If I want to be a sales coordinator, then I need to start acting like a sales coordinator. I need to start doing sales coordinator stuff. If I want to be an NMD, I'll need to start doing NMD stuff. If I want to be broke, I need to do what broke people do. It's pretty simple. So if you start to think that way and act that way, that title, that promotion, that income, it'll follow you. Here's one I love. It's easier to give birth than raise the dead. How many times do we try to drag somebody along in our business that's not going to do any more than they've been doing, rather than going working with somebody new? So that's a real good one there. What do you want out of this business? When do you want it? And here's the question. What are you willing to do or give up, at least temporarily, to get it? We should all answer that question. What are you willing to do or give up, at least temporarily, to get what it is you want in our business? Here's one: marry the right person. This one thing will determine 90% of your happiness or misery. I won't make any comments on that. Next one, when you look back on your life, you'll regret the things you didn't do more than the ones you did. And understand this, that happiness is not based on possessions, prestige, power, but on relationships with people you love and respect. And don't do anything anytime ever that wouldn't make your mom proud. Don't go to work where you go. We kind of touched on that one a little bit in another way earlier. Never assume, this is difficult, but never assume what someone else has to spend, because you don't know. You can pay for the research, but you can't pay for the results. You know, we can provide the placebo, and we can provide the Juice Plus product for a research paper to be done at a university or medical center or whatever, but we can't pay for the results. Keep that in mind. Here's a funny one that I know who told me this, and I want to say, some of you probably know her. She's been around the business probably longer than me, and some of you might be able to figure it out. This is funny because she was talking about one time about going to events. You got to attend events. You got to be on the trainings. You got to be engaged. You got to be involved. I mean, I like to say it this way: is why do they have church every Sunday? The message doesn't change a whole lot. It's to keep you in line. It's to keep you, motivated. It's to keep you thinking in a certain way. And so she was talking about events, and she came up with this line, and I love this line. She said, "No meetings, no money. No money, no honey." Oh, yeah, no meetings, no money. So you have to attend events. Here's a big one, and I've only got a couple left here, and we're going to close out. But remember this, guys, especially you that are new here, that you may have been with us a day or month, or you may even just be looking at this business and thinking, if some crazy Cajun boy from down Louisiana can be successful with this, then I've got a chance, right? I'm here to give you hope. But think about this one. You will know what you need to know when you need to know it. You're not going to teach your 6-year-old how to drive a car right now. Why? Because they don't need to know how to do that. But when the time comes for them, you will teach them, and you'll be there with them and for them. And the same goes for our business and your sponsor and the people that you work with and the people that have a vested interest in you. You just have to understand, you'll know what you need to know when you need to know it. So don't try to know it all. You're not going to know it all. And I have people sometimes say, well, I want to understand the whole marketing compensation plan, and you don't need to know that. Where are you at right now? Okay, this is your next position. That's what you need to know. You need to know how to get there. And then when you get there, we'll talk about getting to the next one, if that's where you want to go. So that's a real important. And here's another one I've always taught my boys, and I think this is one in life that we really should try to live by. Have you always heard it's not what you know, but who you know? I've always heard that most of my life, but I put a little twist on that. It's not what you know or who you know, but who knows you. That's what's important. Who knows you? So I've tried to teach both of my boys, and I will say they have both done a really good job at this. When you go places, present yourself well, introduce yourself to people, talk to people, let people know who you are, because that'll come back to serve you later. It really will. And maybe they know you by the Juice Plus person. That's okay, as long as they know you. That's what's important about that. So it's not, what you know or who you know, but who knows you. And here's one I just picked up at our latest conference last weekend. Our keynote speaker, Don Miller, and I picked this one up and I wrote it down. I put it in my notes, and it stuck with me. He said, when people ask, what do you do? We get that all the time. Well, Dany, what do you do? Or what business are you in? Or who do you work for? Or whatever, whatever way that's presented to you. Here was his response. And I love this. The response is, I got tired of blank. Think about that. Dany, what do you do? Well, I got tired of seeing kids being, not nutritionally fit. I got tired of seeing people not being able to grow their own produce. I got tired of seeing people trying to, just skim by and work 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet. Think about that. So rather than saying, well, I'm a Juice Plus partner, or I'm a marketing director, or I'm this, or I'm that, or I'm a wellness educator. I mean, I've heard all these things, these titles we come up with. That really hit me when he said that. I said, that's it. That's what people are going to respond to, is I got tired of fill in the blank, whatever that may be. And I'm going to close with my last one here, Nikki. This is mine. It's my tagline. If you ever get an email or anything from me, you're going to see it underneath my signature. And it's simply this: there are no excuses, only priorities. That's my tagline. I think everything can evolve around that. There's no excuses, only priorities. Think about that. Think about that. When someone says, well, I can't make an event, they choose not to make an event. I can't do this, they choosing not to do that. Whatever it may be, there's no excuses, only priorities. If it's a priority to you, then you will do it. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. So I hope this was helpful for you guys this evening. Thanks for inviting me on. I know Jennifer reached out to me to do this. I love Jennifer. I know she had some personal things happening and a death in the family, but it's just so great to touch base with you guys and have the honor to be on here tonight. So thanks for inviting me. Nikki, I'll kick it back to you.
Thanks. I just want to read some of the comments just so you can hear that how much people enjoyed this. Dany, very helpful. Is there a replay for this meeting? Which there will be. There's lots of golden nuggets. These are great tips. Where is it? There's a ton of them up here. Can't wait to watch the replay. It's so good and so straightforward. I mean, just time after time, you're getting compliments on those little pieces. I would like to just say, does anybody have something that just you're dying to ask Dany? One person, if you are, unmute yourself right now and grab is this okay with you, Dany? And grab
Perfect, I'm good.
Unmute yourself and get on with it. Anybody? That means you have to unmute yourself and just start talking. All right.
Wow, we answered every question.
I know, you must have done a really great job. One of the things that really stood out and has stood out for years is that you can't pre-qualify. I mean, you can pre-qualify somebody, but you can't prejudge. We make that mistake all the time. That was very powerful, Dany. And then you can't do what you said. It's something like you can't do it until you've earned it. So many people want to do the things and they really haven't done the business yet to earn those things. And I thought that was really powerful. So I just want to thank everybody tonight for coming on. Dany, you were fabulous. And we've got a 7 o'clock, today's the first Tuesday. So it's a 7 o'clock men's call, Take Healthy Back with Lloyd and Greg and don't tell me I know, and Levi, right? So it's going to be a great call at 7 o'clock. Again, Dany, we want to thank you. And if all of you would unmute yourselves and just one word that you think, he does one-liners. How about one word back at Dany to thank him?
Inspiring.
Phenomenal.
Incredible.
Magnificent. Thank
Nice
you.
thing.
Magnificent.
Thank
That was
you.
great.
Entertaining.
All right,
Great
everybody.
forward.
Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Danny.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, Dad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night
Good
all.
night.